So, I don't consider myself a masochist, but here I am, playing Battlefield 2042 again about 4 months since I last posted a video about it. And as far as I know, I'm doing this willingly, so clearly something isn't quite right with me, but that's not why we're here today. I wanted to check in, feel some pain about what could have been, and see how the game is tracking after all this time it's had since, well, the launch. Well, it's better, but you still shouldn't buy this game. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today we are talking Battlefield 2042 and the state it is in after all this time. So, since I last played the game, some things have been added that are objectively good things to have in a first-person shooter game. Things like, say, a scoreboard are now in the game, which actually needed 2 patches to be viewed at the end of a round, which, yeah, that one left me a little dumbfounded, to be completely honest. But anyway, fast forward to where we are now, and Update 4.0 has released, bringing about VoIP functionality for the game, an overhaul of the attachment options, HUD scaling customization, and around 400 total fixes to bugs or optimization issues. Overall, it's a good sounding patch, and yet generally speaking, the patch has helped push the game in the direction as to where it should have been at launch. But I have been hearing a lot of talk among the Battlefield community saying that this is where the game should have been at launch. And I want to address that for 1 second here. For one, if anything, this sentiment just proves that the game needed another 12 months in the oven cooking at the very least. Launching to meet the holiday period rush in 2021 in the state the game was in did so much more damage than what a 12-month delay would have done as a result. And the fact that people are now openly stating that yes, this is where the game should have been at launch is just a confirmation of that fact. But even with that in mind, even when you look at where the game is now by comparison to where it was at launch and how it is admittedly a whole lot more playable and less bug-ridden by comparison, this is not where the game should have been at launch. Even when you look past some of the design decisions that were controversial, such as 128 player modes and specialists, there is just a distinct lack of content that you wouldn't expect from a Battlefield game, or let alone a AAA game in general in this day and age. I remember when Battlefield 3 came out. That was my main game for years across multiple platforms. There was so much to do, so much to unlock, that I was still learning more and more about the game for a long time after its launch. The same can be said for Battlefield 4 too. But a mere 5 months into Battlefield 2042, with a huge break away from it in the middle there, mind you, and I feel like I've done everything already. I have all the weapons unlocked, and there's such a distinct lack of variety in the weaponry options you get to use that the core gameplay feels repetitive at best. I still to this day, when I go back to Battlefield 4, find myself learning new stuff about the game, its movement, its mechanics, and what is possible. That's not really a thing here. The amount of core content that is present here is not representative of that of a AAA release first-person shooter game. And there hasn't really been any content added to the game with the exception of some weekly missions which in themselves are pretty mundane as far as actual gameplay replay value is concerned in my mind. Battlefield 4 released with multitudes of more weapons and customization options by comparison to that of Battlefield 2042 on day one, and not only was the offering of content out of the gate reflective of that of a full-priced game, there was an influx of new content soon after that release date. By this time in Battlefield 2042's life cycle, Battlefield 4 had had 2 expansions drop for the game to keep the community invested, and this was with a pretty rough launch as well. Battlefield 4 did not release perfectly, in fact it was far from. So comparatively, Battlefield 2042 continues to be this shell of what it really could have been, with lacking options for gameplay, barren maps with no degree of destruction present, still 5 months into its life cycle with no signs of getting out from under with content as of yet. So in my opinion, no. This is in no way, shape or form the way the game should have launched back in November. Again, I'm not even talking about design decisions such as the vehicle call-in system, or the specialists, or the player count increase, so on and so forth. I've said it time and time again that I can look past the specialists if they were a lot grittier and fit the narrative of the game more. But no, the amount of content on offer here and actual playability of the content that is present shows that even after Update 4.0, this game is nowhere near to the point where it should have been at release as far as content is concerned. As a long-time Battlefield fan who has been long looking forward to a new first-person shooter to really sink my teeth into, seeing how things are developing with this title and the franchise as a whole, it makes me sad. It really does, guys. I'm an optimist by nature. I like to be excited for things and enjoy the good things first and foremost. So to be talking negative about a franchise that I've always held so dear to me is a damn shame. And to see it retaining such a low player count hurts to see. But this needs to serve as a message to the industry that gamers are sick and tired of seeing this kind of thing go down. And if the long-standing industry quote-unquote leaders of, say, the first-person shooter genre don't get it together, other titles will happily come in and pick up the pieces that they left behind. So, is there any hope for Battlefield 2042? Is there any hope for Battlefield in general? Look, I hope so. I want to love the franchise again and enjoy this particular entry, but we are a long ways away from that happening. There's talk online of specialists being heavily reworked into classes and maps getting significant updates to make them more enjoyable, but to me, another big issue that you're going to face now is actually bringing players back and keeping them. I'm sure you guys have noticed that in this gameplay, I'm versing a lot of bots. Australian servers are dead in the water right now, and there's not a lot of people playing the core game modes, and you can forget Portal outright. Battlefield 2042's size and scope requires a large population to maintain a healthy ecosystem of playable lobbies for it to survive. And beyond all the other problems like the amount of content, for example, the game has to win back its own player base. All it's going to take is one new title to sneak in and take that crown, and we could be looking at the end of the Battlefield era here. For EA to justify developing another Battlefield game, they actually need to justify a financial investment to make it worth their while and to, prove it can produce profits. And well, if the Battlefield community decides not to come back to the series after being betrayed so many times, well, yeah, I don't know if Battlefield can really come out from under here. It's going to take a lot of fixing, and Battlefield as a whole needs to disconnect itself from this concept of being the guinea pig that can get away with crappy launches. The gaming community is sick of this, and they're now aware that their money is worth more than getting a product that quite simply doesn't work when it's intended to at launch. So as a franchise, Battlefield needs to understand that it can no longer release in these half-assed and or broken ways. If there is to be another Battlefield game, then, well, Battlefield needs to prove itself to its core audience once again, and it needs to get it right. Because I quite frankly can't see this franchise going through another shoddy release like it has done with Battlefield 2042 or even Battlefield 5. For example. But I'd like to hear what everyone here has to say in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on Battlefield 2042 post-update 4.0? Do you think the game's worth it now, or are you still not touching this thing with a 40-foot pole? Do you think the franchise has a future? Let me know, guys. I'd be interested to hear what everyone has to say. As always, if you enjoyed the content, be sure to backhand the like button. It goes a long way in supporting the channel. And if you are new here, consider backhanding the subscribe button, as we cover a lot of first-person shooter content and sometimes some other stuff on our live stream directly here on YouTube, so the more the merrier. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.